made me his family, made my mother his family. And, you know, he gave me every rank. He still sent me up until pretty much the end. I have, these are his captain's bars. And he sent me his Major's Oakleys. And they still had on the note card, they had his blood because he pricked himself with the pen, you know, and wrote a little note on there. So, of course, I'm grateful for the mentorship and everything. And there's so many great stories. I visited him, I was so fortunate to visit him every Christmas. I was on leave here, and then twice down in Florida. And of course, all the times he'd look at you and say, "Are you hungry?" You know, I got some good groceries in the fridge. You know, and we'd go down to Sarasota and our, you know, wind in our hair, and we'd be listening to Roger Whittaker blasting the Mustang. And he would tell me to floor it. I didn't really want to get a ticket, but he would tell me to punch it, and then I would punch it, and he'd say, "Oh, that's not good enough. You didn't really punch it." But I didn't want to get pulled over, you know. So anyways, I remember one time, it was late, and I had probably been there a few nights, and maybe we were tired or whatever. We're just sitting watching TV. And I'm laying on the couch, and we're sitting there, and he starts talking about a Marine that he had when he was in 29 Palms. And this Marine was a reservist who was also in Major League Baseball. He's a Major League Baseball pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. And they would call him up. I mean, this was in the 80s, I think. They would call it, or 70s, and they would call this guy up, and he would go pitch for him, and they nicknamed him Blade. I think he was like 6'5", like, you know, 120 sort of guy. Anyways, they called him Blade, and so he starts telling me his name, and he's wondering whatever happened to this pitcher, right? Major League Baseball player. And he pitched for the Reds and a few other teams, and I'm looking him up on Wikipedia or whatever, and you know, I think when the Reds were the Big Red Machine, you know, he pitched in the World Series, because that's what he said. They were training in 29 Palms, and they get a call, and this guy gets picked up to go pitch in the World Series or something, you know, crazy stuff. Anyways, he goes, and he's like, "What do you got?" You know, and I'm telling him all the information I'm finding about this guy, and he goes, "Well, what does it say in the computer in your hand?" The moral of the story, I looked this guy up in the white pages, and he's living in Riverside, California. And I call him up, and Major Bender takes the phone, and he leaves him a message. And he goes, "Hey," I can't remember the guy's name, but he goes, "Corporal so-and-so, this is your Lieutenant Ben Bender. I was your platoon commander. How are you doing?" They probably haven't talked in close to 50 years. And he leaves a voicemail message, and I think, "Oh, this guy's not going to call back. He's living in some nice house in Riverside, you know." And this guy calls back in 2 seconds, and he's having a party. And they start talking like they had been brothers, and they had not missed a day in 50 years. And that is the type of guy that Major Bender is. Everyone was family to him, you know? And that was absolutely incredible. So, Mary, Mike, thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Max. That was a great story.